Stone Cold Robert Saleh is the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and he's the perfect man for the job. I'll tell you why on today's edition of Locked On Titans. Let's get it!
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, we officially have a new head coach, Robert Saleh, signed by the Tennessee Titans. Wake up, Titans fans. The news happened very late in the evening, but you have a new head coach, and he is the perfect man for the job. I'm going to go over Robert Saleh's credentials and why I think he was a perfect fit at this stage in the game. Also, we'll talk about how this hire shows that the Tennessee Titans are officially moving away from the buddy hire system that has got them in so much trouble. Also, we got some great reports out there on a potential Mike McDaniel pairing as the offensive coordinator. I'll talk about what I want to see from Robert Saleh's coaching staff. Before we dive into all of it, thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed. Stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you have to be one. We're going to get coaching staff news. Now that we have a coach, we can talk about free agency, roster moves, the draft. So much coming your way. A massive all season. Make sure that you stay locked in to the Locked On Titans podcast. But this news hit at midnight Eastern time. I can't lie, old Uncle Ty was already asleep, but I popped up at 4 o'clock in the morning and boom, there is the news. And again, Robert Saleh was not my number one candidate of the hiring cycle. Robert Saleh isn't a perfect candidate, but he was the perfect man for the job with where the Tennessee Titans were at right now. He brings so much to the table that the Tennessee Titans desperately need. And when it comes to one side of the ball or the other, Robert Saleh gives you a distinct schematic advantage. Number one, more important than anything, what have we talked about for months and months and months on this program? What have the Titans talked about? What has Mike Borgonzi, the general manager, talked about? What has Jeffrey Simmons talked about in the locker room? Leadership. Leadership. Leadership is the key, and Robert Saleh, more than anything else, is a leader. Robert Saleh is a guy who has a ton of former players who talk all the time about how he lifted them up. He is pure positivity all the time, getting the most out of players. I talked to someone in the media that covered Robert Saleh with the New York Jets, and he said the number one thing is he gets the absolute best out of all of his players. Whether you're at the top of the roster, whether you're at the bottom of the roster, you're the 90th man on the team, Robert Saleh is going to pour into you and get the absolute best out of you. Now, look, who does that sound like? Sure does sound like Mike Vrabel. And I know that it would be easy to say, oh, well, the Tennessee Titans fired Mike Vrabel and then just went out and tried to find another Mike Vrabel. Well, that doesn't really sound like a bad plan right now, does it? That is something that good leaders do. They build their players up. They build their roster up. Whether you're the top guy or the bottom guy, it doesn't matter. You get the same support and love and encouragement. That is leadership. Being able to have the hard conversations, driving your guys to be better, doing it in a positive way. Robert Saleh is a pure leader. And whether it's his players in San Francisco, the players he had when he was with the New York Jets, across the board, every single person that you hear who talks about Robert Saleh talks about how great of a man he is, how great of a leader he is, and what they did or what he did for them to build them up and make them a better person and a better player. That is leadership, and that's what this franchise desperately needed. They needed a North Star. They needed a motivator. They needed somebody to be the face of the franchise, to be the driving force of the franchise, and Robert Saleh has that in his DNA. All right, Stone Cold Robert Saleh is here. I could not be more excited. Again, the leadership is a great thing. But the schematic advantage the Tennessee Titans just got on the defensive side of the ball, guys, you do not realize how incredibly genius this beautiful bald man is on the defensive side of the ball. I have mentioned it throughout the process when I talked about Saleh, who was one of my hype candidates. He may not have been my top candidate on the board, but when we did my hype, hate, and happy tiers for the coaching staff, Robert Saleh was 100% in my hype tier. So make no mistake about it. Robert Saleh may not be the perfect candidate, but I am hyped about this decision because of the defensive side of the ball. Look around the NFL right now. Look around the NFL. The defensive side of the ball is king right now. The offense has slowed down. Scoring has slowed down. Too high safety shows. Teams have to run the ball, putting a cap on the explosive plays. Defense rules the day, and Robert Saleh truly is a defensive mastermind. Again, I mentioned this stat throughout the process. In Robert Saleh's last 17 games as the head coach of the New York Jets, his last 17, he had the number one defense in EPA, number one defense in EPA per play. He leaves the next 16, 17 games for the Jets. They're last. They're last. This year in San Francisco, tons of injuries all over the board. They had nobody. They had a mash unit on defense. They were last in sacks, last in pressure rate. And yet Robert Saleh's defense was still incredible all year, and the San Francisco 49ers led that all the way to a playoff win. He shut down the Eagles' offense. They went 11-5, made the playoffs. Like, he took a mash unit and got the absolute most out of them. That proves that not only is he a defensive genius schematically, but again, the leadership to have literally a JV team on defense and still find a way to be excellent. That is leadership. That's what we're looking for. And you don't have to worry about him not calling defensive plays and losing that advantage. Saleh has said, I didn't call the plays the whole time when I was with the Jets. That was a mistake. I am calling plays. It keeps me connected to the game and connected to my players. Robert Saleh will call plays, so we're not going to lose that defensive genius and that defensive excellence. And that is critical. I have said it over and over and over again. I want someone who is the top schematic mind in their organization on one side of the ball. And that's what you get with Robert Saleh. So defensive genius and leadership. And if you want more than just this season, 5 out of the last 9 years with Robert Saleh running the defensive side of the ball, he had a top 5 defense in total D. That's total yards allowed. Top 5. 5 times out of the last 9 years. 5 times out of the last 9 years. Top 5 pass defense. He had one year where he was 11th as well. So we're talking about 6 out of the last 9 years. He's basically had a top 5 or top 10 pass defense. Putting you in a bottle. Absolutely fantastic. Those are the 2 key pillars here of why Robert Saleh was a great fit. Not only that, but the offensive connections. All right, the worry with a defensive-minded head coach. What are they going to do on offense? Who's going to be the head coach of the offense? Well, who has better connections in the NFL than Robert Saleh? Mike LaFleur, who's with the Rams. You get access to the Sean McVay tree. Clay Kubiak with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Kyle Shanahan might not let him go, so he might not be an option, but you're going to have a connection to other people in the Kyle Shanahan coaching staff and the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. Obviously, Mike McDaniel, who we're going to talk about at the end of the show, there are some reports out there that indicate Robert Saleh wants his buddy, his best friend, to come with him. And that's a buddy hire that I can approve of. You get access potentially to the Green Bay coaching tree under Matt LaFleur. Adam Stenovich, Luke Getsy. Bobby Slowick with the Houston Texans, or used to be with the Houston Texans, could be an option here as well. There is no one better suited on the defensive side of the ball in the NFL to find good offensive coordinator talent than Robert Saleh, which is the number one concern about Robert Saleh, is the offensive side of the ball. But that concern is limited by the fact that he has great connections. And then let me also say this. Let me say this. Robert Saleh hates with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. Jacksonville Jaguars coach Liam Cohen hates him. And I love that. Screw the Jaguars, screw the Texans, screw the Colts. Robert Saleh will beat up your... D'Amico Ryans and Robert Saleh would be quite the clash, right? But those two guys know each other very well. And Robert Saleh actually had a job on the Texans coaching staff before he got his big break as a defensive coordinator. So Robert Saleh is perfectly suited to come to the AFC South. He is going to bully Liam Cohen. And I cannot wait. Enjoy the cold, dark locker you are about to be shoved in, Jacksonville Jaguars fans. Ha! Hope you enjoyed the year. Robert Saleh's here. Boom. By God, that's Robert Saleh's music. But listen, what has me so excited about this is not only Robert Saleh as a candidate and what that means and his pros here, but the Tennessee Titans got this right. It wasn't a perfect process by any stretch of the imagination, but this shows that the Tennessee Titans are moving away from the buddy hire system that would have led them to Matt Nagy and leading them to the best candidate possible. And this isn't the only example. The guy who hired Robert Saleh, Mike Borgonzi, also is an example of the Titans correcting their old ways. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want a candidate who truly matches what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page to help you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for this show, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just a resume buzzword. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes, like Robert Saleh, with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today's episode is also brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you could put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You could buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures, commissions, merchant, and swap firm. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, breaking down the Tennessee Titans hiring Robert Saleh as their next head coach. Again, I talked about why Robert Saleh has such a great resume, why he's a perfect fit for the Tennessee Titans right now, but we got to talk about the fact that the Tennessee Titans got this right. The Tennessee Titans made the right call. Was it a perfect process? Absolutely not. It was not a perfect process. But at the end of the day, the Titans made the best of the situation that they were in, and it gives me a lot of hope going forward about this franchise kind of correcting some of the things that have hurt them in the past. Now, do want to remind you guys, I'm going to have another episode out later tonight at my normal time going over a coaching staff for Robert Saleh, some of the fallout here of what's happened. But again, The Titans got this right. Now, let me just say this. Am I 100% certain that Robert Saleh is going to do great? He's going to lead the Titans to a championship. He's going to be the coach for the next, 18, 20 years, and everything's great, and we finally did it. No, I'm not certain of that. You guys want me to be. You want me to tell you it's all going to be okay, and blah, 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 but we don't know that. We don't know that. The reality here is there are issues with Robert Saleh. Can he get offensive coordinator right? So what if he brings Mike McDaniel for a year? He's just going to get hired as a head coach. Is it going to be a Matt LaFleur situation all over again where the Titans get stuck with the lesser coach who was their offensive coordinator that leaves? That's certainly on the table. Robert Saleh was incredibly conservative when he was with the New York Jets in terms of his game management. He needs to be more aggressive. Robert Saleh went 20-36 with the New York Jets. Historically speaking, if you have a losing record, you'll probably keep a losing record. So I'm not getting on here and telling you that Robert Saleh is an absolute home run, slam dunk, nothing can go wrong, we're free. That's not what I'm here to tell you. But the reality is this is the best that the Titans could do in their situation. Yeah, they probably wanted John Harbaugh more. Yeah, they probably wanted Kevin Stefanski more. Yeah, they probably wanted Jeff Hafley more. I'm not as convinced about Hafley, who went to the Dolphins. Titans probably could have picked Robert Saleh over him. I don't know why Jeff Hafley would be considered a better hire. He was a Micah Parsons merchant. He didn't do a good job in Boston College. I had Robert Saleh higher on my list than Jeff Hafley, but we can't know for certain if the Titans would have preferred Jeff Hafley, who they had a finalist interview scheduled for on Tuesday. But after having John Harbaugh skirt on him and go to the Giants and use him as leverage, and then Stefanski do the same thing over the weekend, and then Hafley do the same thing with the Miami Dolphins, which he's probably always going to the Dolphins because John Eric Sullivan got hired there and they're both from Green Bay. But considering all of that, the choice had come down to Robert Saleh or Matt Nagy. And Robert Saleh had a finalist interview scheduled with the Arizona Cardinals on Tuesday. So if the Titans didn't pull the trigger on this, say they wanted to go talk to Sean McDermott or bring Mike McCarthy back or wait for a Chris Shula or something like that, if the Titans would have done that, they would have lost out on Robert Saleh. And if you lose out on Robert Saleh, then Sean McDermott isn't interested at all, then you're stuck with Matt Nagy. And I talked about it on yesterday's show. I do not think that is a risk that the Tennessee Titans are willing to take. And they weren't. And they weren't. And I would imagine that Mike Borgonzi was smart enough to call Sean McDermott's agent and say, hey, are you interested? And be told no. I don't really think so. I don't really think so. I don't think that Mike Borgonzi did it without checking on that, okay? So, based on where the Titans were at in their process and the options that were truly available and the options that actually made sense, Robert Saleh was the right move. He was the perfect move for where the Tennessee Titans were at right now in their process. And again, it wasn't the buddy hire. Look, I hate to do I am happy about Robert Saleh because it's not Matt Nagy. I don't think that is good justification for being excited about a head coach, that the bar should be higher than that. But as I just said, the defensive genius, the leadership, the offensive connections, the ability to be in this division and feel comfortable in it and sit in it and bathe in the AFC South makes Robert Saleh a great choice all on its own. But we do have to acknowledge, I sure am happy it wasn't Matt Nagy. And the Tennessee Titans organization knows that. I know a lot of you guys like to get in the comments and say, you're a basement bum, you're this, you're that, and just hate on me and try to, tamp me down and all that. But there is no doubt on this earth, my voice is heard in this community. The team hears me. The team hears you. And we did this together. Back on December 23rd, I released an episode. Say no to Matt Nagy. And since that moment, we have built an army to protect the future of this franchise, to protect Cam Ward, to protect Jeffrey Simmons and do what's best for them and prevent another buddy hire from taking place. We did this together. They heard us. They knew. They could not hire Mike Borgonzi's buddy. And, if you guys want to say, and it's already happening, oh, well, the Tennessee Titans are idiots if they let the fans choose the coach. I don't think that's what happened here. But I think the Titans were aware that the fan base would not have accepted Matt Nagy. And the Tennessee fan base has already showed you with Greg Schiano in college, we will not stand for it. If you hire a bozo, we will not stand for it. And in my mind, like Mike Borgonzi getting hired instead of Chad Brinker's buddy, John Eric Sullivan, Mike Borgonzi hiring Robert Saleh shows that he's not just going to make the buddy hire. He's stuck to his word. I'm going to hire a coach who's a leader. Offense or defense, I don't care. We need a leader. And I'm not going to let my past relationships cloud me from hiring the best possible candidate. And Mike Borgonzi stuck to his word. And to me, that is a sign that the Titans are growing up, that the Titans are getting better. Nature is healing. Nature is healing. But listen, we did get some crazy reports out there. The initial Adam Schefter report about Robert Saleh said that Mike Borgonzi wanted Matt Nagy, but ownership pushed him to hire Robert Saleh. Now, I don't want to speak out of turn because I love my guy, Teron Davenport. TD is my guy, no doubt. But Teron has basically said, I gave that information to Adam Schefter and it was misconstrued. It was lost in translation. It was incorrect. And it has since been corrected. ESPN corrected the report. Teron came out and clarified that is not the correct way to frame this. Mike Borgonzi made the hire. He did not make this hire because Amy Adams Strunk made him do it. Paul Kaharski has come out and said that that is completely false. This was not an overrule by Amy Adams Strunk. Now, PK said that it was a pro Amy Adams Strunk thing. I don't think that it paints the owner in a positive light to say that she overruled the general manager to hire the coach. That's not pro Amy Adams Strunk to me. That's a negative. That's meddling ownership. That's not a pro. That does not make Amy Adams Strunk look good. But again, that was debunked by PK, and the guy who made that report initially, Teron, has come out and clarified that is not what I meant. That is not what I said. So I know that people are going to jump on that, but here's how I feel about it. If Amy Adams Strunk overruled Mike Borgonzi and said you're not hiring Matt Nagy, then good. Good. Cannot let Matt Nagy anywhere close to this franchise. They may hire him as an offensive coordinator. We'll talk about that, but this guy is not a leader. And let me say this, and I said it on yesterday's show too. No one wants Matt Nagy as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator. This dude might not have a job in the NFL if the Titans don't give him a pity job. The Chiefs did not renew his contract, and they immediately hired Eric Bieniemy back. They did not want Matt Nagy anywhere near Patrick Mahomes or their football team. Get out. No one at this point in time, no one else other than the Titans gave Matt Nagy a second interview. Nobody. Now, maybe with the Raiders being a terrible job, the Cardinals wanted Robert Saleh bad. Cardinals fans were on their hands and knees begging for Robert Saleh, and the Titans got him instead because the Titans are a better job with, I know it's hard to believe, better ownership than the Arizona Cardinals. Poor Cardinals fans. So, I don't know what else you need to know other than no one wanted Matt Nagy. So if Amy Adams Strunk did overrule Mike Borgonzi and say, you're not hiring your buddy who is going to make this fan base quit on this organization, we're going to hire the leader who's a defensive genius, not the guy who is riding the coattails of a defensive genius in Vic Fangio. Good for Amy Adams Strunk to stand up for her fan base. Good for Amy Adams Strunk to make sure that she did the right thing. Good. Now, again, it's been debunked by multiple sources that wasn't the case, but you know how it goes, folks. People are allowed to believe what they want. And if you believe that Amy Adams Strunk did overrule Mike Borgonzi, that's fine with me, because I'm glad she did. And maybe Robert Saleh doesn't work out. Maybe Robert Saleh is a losing coach. Maybe Robert Saleh is only a defensive coordinator and he'll never be a good head coach. Maybe so. But I feel pretty dang confident that Matt Nagy wasn't the answer either. So if my choices were Robert Saleh and Matt Nagy, and Amy Adams Strunk said, we're not hiring your buddy, we're going to hire this guy, again, I'm happy about that. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy Adams Strunk. That's what I would say. Whether it works out or not, I don't care. Because you know what? It's not like Matt Nagy's going to go somewhere else and all of a sudden he's going to be a good head coach. No one wants him. And the Chiefs and Matt Nagy's agent put on an elite PR push this season. Interviews with The Athletic and CBS, and I'm reading 45 anonymous tips of how I could be a better coach, and Andy Reid talking about him like he's his son in the press conferences and how much he loves him and he should get an opportunity. The PR push was so obvious, and no NFL team was willing to bite. Wake up. Whether Robert Saleh works or not, avoiding Matt Nagy was absolutely critical. So whether it was owner interference or not, the Titans had to avoid Matt Nagy. The Titans made the right call here. This was the right move to make. And the fact that they didn't just go with buddy hires means that they're turning a page. And once again, we can have hope that this team can build forward. But talking about building, how is Robert Saleh going to build his coaching staff? We got some awesome reports, and I got some early candidates for you that I think would make a ton of sense on Saleh's coaching staff. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Drip Drop. Kicking off the year feeling good is the goal, right? And I sure do feel good right now. Honestly, hydration is the easiest win when I stay on top of it. My energy, focus, and mood all level up, and Lord knows I need it. Waking up at 4 a.m. to do some podcasts. But let's be real. Plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or just trying to stay consistent with your health goals. That's where Drip Drop comes in. Doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Think clearer focus, better energy, elevated mood, even that fresh skin glow. Me and my girl absolutely love the grape flavor of Drip Drop. So happy when Drip Drop sent us a little bit of a product sample. That grape flavor, man. Chef's kiss. Right now, Drip Drop is offering my listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Again, emergency edition. I am going to go live. I don't know. I'm going to put out another show later on this afternoon going deeper into, we're probably going to get news on the contract. We're probably going to get even more reports on potential coaching staffs, this and that. But I have some preliminary ideas on who could be on Robert Saleh's coaching staff that should have Tennessee Titans fans very, very excited. And of course, we start with offensive coordinator, which is going to be the most important thing for Robert Saleh going forward. He is the head coach of the defense, the head coach of the team. But make no mistake, there needs to be a head coach of the offense because Robert Saleh is not an offensive guy. He's not somebody who is like well-versed in both sides of the ball. Now, you can't be a defensive coach and not understand offense. You have to understand offense to be a good defensive coach because you're taking away what offensives do. But, of course, I'm not going to downplay the importance here. The Titans absolutely have to nail the offensive coordinator position or this is not going to work. It's that simple. Robert Saleh will fail if he does not figure out the offensive coordinator position. And during his time with the Jets, that was an issue. Mike LaFleur did not do a good job in his first go-round as the Jets off. Now he had Zach Wilson. Is that a good enough excuse to give him another opportunity? We'll see. And then he had Nathaniel Hackett, who, give me a break. That was forced on him because of Aaron Rodgers. And the owner said, we're bringing in Aaron Rodgers and you're hiring his guy. That was an arranged marriage forced by the Jets owner, who's even worse than Amy Adams Strunk. Woody Johnson is despicable, quite frankly. But early reports indicate Connor Hughes, who's a New York media guy, reported that Robert Saleh has made it known that when he got a head coaching job again, if possible, he wanted to bring Mike McDaniel along with him. Mike McDaniel would be a slam dunk offensive coordinator. I think that Mike McDaniel might still get a head coaching job, whether it's in Cleveland, whether it's with the Raiders. I think there's a good, he interviewed with the Ravens as well. I think Mike McDaniel may get another head coaching job. But if he doesn't, he's coming to Tennessee. I believe it. Now, the other option out there, there's Tampa Bay, there's Philadelphia. Like, there are other offensive coordinator jobs out there that would make sense. If Clint Kubiak gets hired, Seattle could look to bring in Mike McDaniel. Like, those are all true possibilities. And if you're Mike McDaniel and you want to be a head coach as soon as possible, you probably should go to Tampa Bay or Seattle or Philly. You know, they have way more talent than the Titans do. But if you're Mike McDaniel and you do want to support your friend, and you're Mike McDaniel and you want to build something and show, hey, I can't just take somebody else's good toys and make them good, keep them good. No, I can take an offense that has been the worst in the NFL the last 2 years, and I can make it great. I can make Cam Ward look like an elite quarterback. That is how you get your next head coaching job right there. That is how you do it. So I think that there is a great chance that Mike McDaniel was hired, and we have talked about a perfect pairing, Saleh and McDaniel. We have talked about it for a month now. What an incredible duo that would be. Over the moon. So I am not 100% convinced that Mike McDaniel will do that, but according to reports, it is 100% on the table. And if you aren't fired up about that pairing, I don't know what to tell you. Now, outside of Mike McDaniel, if he does decide to go elsewhere, again, Mike LaFleur could get a second opportunity with Robert Saleh, currently the offensive coordinator of the Rams. People do improve, and Cam Ward is miles better than Zach Wilson, okay? Miles better, all right? Bobby Slowick, who was the former offensive coordinator of the Houston Texans. Again, C.J. Stroud has fallen off a cliff after they got rid of Bobby Slowick, and reports have indicated that Slowick used to get in C.J. Stroud's face and challenge him, and Stroud didn't like it. Stroud can't mentally handle Bobby Slowick's offense, and he had to pare it down for him. And everyone said, oh, run past Slowick. Yeah, well, it's because C.J. Stroud might not be able to run a full NFL offense. So Bobby Slowick would be my number 2 after Mike McDaniel. Then, honestly, I would go with Clay Kubiak, who's currently the offensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. But Kyle Shanahan said, I'm not letting him go. You're going to have to make him a head coach if you want to take Clay Kubiak away from me. So that's not going to happen. But maybe Kyle Shanahan changes his mind because it's Robert Saleh. Maybe. I don't know. We can hold out hope. I think a guy like Adam Stenovich and Luke Getsy, who were on the Green Bay Packers coaching staff, could make a lot of sense. Looking at defensive coordinators, because Robert Saleh is going to be the head coach and call the defense, but he still needs a defensive coordinator to teach his defense to his players. I think Chris Kurasek, who's the defensive line coach in San Francisco, would make a ton of sense. Gus Bradley, the former defensive coordinator in Seattle. He's been a longtime defensive coordinator. He was a head coach for Jacksonville, I think, for a little bit. Gus Bradley is a senior defensive assistant with San Francisco right now. I think he would make a ton of sense as an older teacher for Robert Saleh. I think a guy like KJ Wright, the former Seattle Seahawk, who's currently the linebacker coach of the San Francisco 49ers, could potentially be a guy who he brings over. And then on offense, I think guys like Mick Lombardi, who's currently the quarterback coach of the San Francisco 49ers, he might be a guy who could come over in a role. Mike Rutenberg is currently Atlanta Falcons defensive passing game analyst or coordinator, the pass game coordinator. And Jeff Ulbrich, who is the defensive coordinator of the Falcons, was the defensive coordinator for Robert Saleh. Those guys are really tight, so it would make sense that somebody on Ulbrich's staff would make sense for the Titans. That all makes sense. And then let me just say this. Right now, reports do indicate Bones Fossil will be back as a special teams coordinator, and I certainly hope that that's the case. But again, I'm going to have another episode later on today. I got to sleep a little bit. I got to readjust. We got to get our bearings together, and I'll be back to break down what I think a coaching staff could actually look like and go over any new news for you guys. Again, make sure that you stay locked in to the Locked On Titans podcast. Nobody is working harder to make sure you are as informed, as entertained, and as up-to-date as a Tennessee Titans fan could possibly be. Wake up, Titans fans. Robert Saleh is your head coach. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.